So this is how I sculpted the princess for my 3D project. I'm going to explain a little bit more of what I did in this one, contrary to what I did on the other ones, just because the video that I followed to make this actually wasn't a tutorial. It was just a screen recording of another student from the US that just had to record as well her homework of 3D modeling. So there was no instructions at all, and I decided to kind of instruct myself after that video, because I realized a lot of the tutorials to sculpt people or model people in YouTube, they are actually not good, and most of the ones that are good, they're just screen recordings, they are not tutorials. So what I did basically was adding a reference image that I had drawn, especially for this. This is not exactly how the princess looks, but I just needed a basic shape of the body in a certain position. So I did a quick sketch of her and imported it into Blender as a reference image, making sure that the front and the profile will be one underneath the other on different axes, so that I could turn around and model every shape of the body. And what I used basically to sculpt her were spheres. I used 2 spheres for the center of the body, and then I added an individual sphere per each joint of the body as well. And for certain parts of the body, I did use cylinders like the arms, but I didn't really like much how it looked, so I actually did use spheres for the legs. The method that I used for giving them shape was basically using the grab brush from the sculpting menu, and just grabbing and pulling with quite a big size brush so that I could move as much as possible without leaving like little peaks or little odd faces. And that's all I used to give the basic shape. I did struggle a little bit with the neck, like maybe you can see now. I tried one method, didn't work, so I went back and did it differently with a cylinder. And then I went in to take again 2 spheres to give the basic shape of the face and the head. I have a little bit of trouble actually with making the face. It proved to be a little bit difficult, and I actually end up deleting the one you're seeing me do right now, and off camera just doing another one that you will later on see. And you'll be like, oh, that's not what it was there. It's because I went off camera and kind of did some tweaking and redid it so that I was more satisfied with it. But I already had this in recording and I didn't want to make it so long. But most of the reason of why I did it is also, I think, is because Dino wasn't always working like it should, especially because she was very small. I wanted to make her to scale. I have made the tree at the scale that it actually will be if it were a real life tree. So I needed the princess to kind of follow the same measurements. So I tried to make her to scale to the actual size that I imagined her to be, just how I imagined the tree. And I realized that then it meant that I had to use very small brushes if I wanted to get a good result, which it ended up being fine after I did that. And that's what you will see sometimes if you see me struggling with the brushes, is that all of a sudden the brush maybe was too big and then I had to change it to make it smaller. And here, as you can see right now, I've made the ears, but I'm fighting with the face for some reason. I don't know why. I kind of did some practice before recording it. I did 3 more sculptures. So the first 2 times that I did it, I didn't really have any problems with the face, and then the 3rd time when it was with the camera and I was having issues with it. So maybe it was just camera nerves, because I went off camera. I made this one and I tried to make it very simplistic because I wanted to keep this style of this simple for this. I didn't really want to overcomplicate myself with something very realistic. Plus the type of story that she's telling with this character, is a little bit more approachable if I do it with less, kind of more cute, minimalistic type of character. So this is why I chose this specific style for these And as you can probably see, I did use two different separate spheres to make the eyes. I use most of the bulb tool to make the nose and the lips and the shape around the eyes. Now, what you're gonna see me do quite often in these videos that are basically joining the different separate objects that I have created. And the tool that I use for that is actually an add-on called Bull Tool. The Bull Tool add-on basically allows you to select different objects and just either select whatever you want them to be, to unionize them, or if you want to slice them in half, or what you want to do with these objects. And you do have to be quite careful with the order you select them, because depending on how to select them, you may find out that one of your objects was eaten out by the other one, which was a learning curve sometimes, because sometimes I will select one object with another one and it will create like a weird join, like a weird connection that will be like, this is not really working. So I have to go back and be like, let me try to unionize it another time, like how you see here with the arms the first time, and then the second time I did it, this is still a little bit of a weird line on the right hand side and the left hand side arms on the top, but it's not as weird as it was the first time. And I think that that's mostly because of the cylinders, so that makes me think that I maybe should have actually used spheres to do it. But once I had unionized the object, something that I used a lot was use the clay brush just to like fill in like the lines, and where you could see that the two objects were unionizing and coming together, and so that you wouldn't see like something too evident that the two objects having joined together. I did try to give her a little bit of detail in the body. I felt a little bit bad for her, because at the time I felt like, oh no, I'm giving you too much detail when you are naked, and so I felt a little bit bad for her, because she's my own creation. I feel like I was exposing her a little bit, her nakedness a little bit too much, but she did very well. She didn't seem to mind that much. I struggled a little bit with the feet, because the mirror modifier was, I don't know, it was playing weird tricks with my model. I couldn't really figure out what it was, but in the end I still endured and managed to make legs and feet and hands that I was satisfied with. I didn't really bother doing fingers, just because one, I didn't need them, and two, I kind of felt like not having fingers was quite nice for this type of model, because she's not that photorealistic, her face isn't, so I felt like it's fine if she doesn't have fingers. And but I did try to make her body a little bit as much as realistic as possible. I didn't want a cartoony body. I wanted something more realistic, even though it was gonna be covered by a dress eventually. As how I did with the whole body, I used also spheres to create the feet, that then I grabbed with the grab tool and fill in the gaps with the clay brush. I sometimes use the smooth brush whenever I needed to thin something out, but that's mostly of what I did to give shape to things. And at one point I made one of her legs very realistic, and I was like, I don't know if I like it. I like how realistic I have managed to make it look, but I did not like it for this project. I didn't like it for her, but it was nice for me to know that I was capable of doing that. So I left it for a little bit so that I wouldn't mess it up too much. Went back to the feet with a little bit of a challenge, I would say. Were probably the most challenging part out of all of this, especially because I didn't want it to make them too realistic, and sometimes I would start doing them and they would be too realistic, or maybe I was sculpting and I didn't have the right angle for it, and they were too fat or too long or too big, and I was like, oh okay, I need to redo them again. But in the end I did manage to create feet that I was satisfied with, and that they weren't not that ugly as well. They were okay, I liked them. And as you can see, I really did spend a lot of time with it. I think it took me less time to make the whole body than make the feet, but I guess that's just the nature of feet. I know I'm not the only person that struggles with them. So I think I finished doing one feet, and then I went off camera to finish the other ones. and I follow the same technique to do the hands, and if I'm not wrong I might have done that off camera as well. But I can say that I was satisfied with what I did. I will for sure keep trying. There are other methods that I like to try, like sculpting them from a sphere using the edit mode instead of the sculpting mode, and I think that will be one of the next things for me to try after this.